We're live.
I'm just being honest, connecting with the black experience. It is your guy, the most disliked popular guy, Barry Accius, with the most popular queen of them all, Mama Ro, looking all spectacular, spectacular, the reppy of the culture and all good things. You know what I mean?
Trying to represent over this here beat.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you? My weekend was full.
I see.
Yeah.
I know.
But so was yours. I see you getting down at that African market.
Man, you know, we had the little youngsters that we had an issue with 2 weeks ago. When we talk about policing our own, we talk about accountability, when we talk about things of the nature that I think a lot of black folks are designed to say, but are unworthy or unwilling to do, right? We sat there, and a lot of the brothers and sisters of the community embraced these young people. 2 out of the 6 young people that was acting up mannish, and when I say mannish, they was acting super wild. I must have called so many B's and N words in one time frame, and I'm the type of person that put my hands on kids, so I ain't gonna even front. I didn't do that, but I made sure. Here's one thing I said to the youngsters: I will find you. And they was laughing, and I said, no, I will really seriously. I'm gonna find you. And I found them. Put some of their pictures on Facebook. People connected, and that's the power of Facebook. To me, I feel like if we're gonna spend a lot of time promoting the death of our children, the ignorance of our children. When I say that by, I get tired of us putting RIPs. It's Johnny's World. It's Rest in Love, Yolanda. I get tired of seeing that. I'd rather put this picture up of this young person that's acting up. I need to see the parents. And with that being said, we were able to contact some of the parents. Sat down. She was open. She was accountable for some of the actions and some of the behavior. Gave the kids a kind of like an ultimatum on what we're going to do. Brother Nasir, Brother Tracy, some of the brothers in the village came through for our village children. We just sat there and showed them love, brought them to the African marketplace. They opened up their business called Everything's for $1 Candy Shack, right? And they made almost over $200 within that time period from 1 o'clock to 5:30, right? And they were not only humbled in the experience of doing that, but they was humbled in the fact that they walked into the same place. They terrorized the community in the village, showed love and respect, and at the same time, we tapped into their entrepreneurial spirit. I made sure that I brought them in, got their stuff, helped them kind of direct how they would market, kind of direct some of the things they should sell, bought the supply, and their hustling mentality and their entrepreneurial spirit led me to understand that these kids, they not only want something to do, but they want to be able to earn. And they want to be able to earn, they want to be able to learn. So I hired the young girl that was the oldest, and then I, put the other young boy in other programs. She's going to holler at you because she's at Burbank. And it was a good feeling overall. Again, critics will be critics, but as I said before, critics are usually crickets when you walk that shit that you talking.
Right on, man.
I'm just saying, I just have a lot of,
I do have a question for you real quick about this. So some of them were young men, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever feel like, so when did you go to the young man's house as well?
It was, both of them, it was the 11-year-old, that's the mother, and the girl, that's her auntie. Or excuse me, that's her sister. Okay. So the girl was the auntie of the 11-year-old. So we're luckily to be able to have, because I only had 3 pictures of 3 of the young men, which kind of connected me with the girl. So I was able to move it like that. That's how I kind of figured that out.
Right on. So I'm only saying that this weekend I had a conversation with some women who were mothers, and I heard them talk a lot about what they think that black boys need. And some of it was, for me, how sometimes we as women, and this is not to put all women down because I'm a woman, but sometimes we think we're helping young men, but really we're hindering them. And I think they need to be under the direction of a black man or just a man, period, because he understands those steps.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes we coddle black boys, and then when they can't perform, then it's like they trifling, but we forget our contribution to not allowing a man such as yourself to come and work with their son. Because it's something you give them that we obviously cannot give them,
well,
even though we love them.
I know. I mean, shouts out to all the people that understood what I was trying to do, the direction I was taking, because I think that some folks were kind of, sublime to what my whole idea and the premise of me saying, let's take action. And I say take action in a way of, if we have this idea of policing ourselves, what does this look like? You know what I mean? What does policing our own actually really mean? And if we're going to police our own, well, what are the steps? Well, to me, the step was doing this. Yes, is it embarrassing? Maybe, but they should be embarrassed by the behavior that they displayed when they were cussing out a grown man that was sitting there trying to help them, when they were sitting there terrorizing a community building that's been built for them. This is like their home. Like, you're trashing your own home base. You can't go ahead and shit on your own lawn, right? So, or even I want you to shit on anybody's lawn, but especially home. Don't do that. So my thing was put it on social media because I knew that was going to be the best way for there was going to be some attention. And at the same time, I was very clear on my intentions. My intentions was solution based. I'm never the Negro that's going to go put out a problem and not try to create an alternative, lead to our direction, or try to have some accountability to take place. My whole thing and my premise on anything I usually do, it's always calculated, it's thought out, it's strategic, and it's about, well, you know what? I want to do one better for these youngsters. I told the little girl as she was cursing me out, I said, I'm going to find you. They laughed at me. You will never find us. I said, trust me, you don't know who I am. I will find you. And when I came there, the first thing she said, I've been looking over my shoulder ever since you said, I was thinking about what you said, and I was like, you found me when you walked in. I said to myself, you found me. And I want to be a man of my word. Because if I said I would find you and I let these kids go over and just kind of think everything was good, then I want to be a man of my word. And on top of that, the lesson that is also taught in that be careful of what you do, because you don't know who you're doing it with and who you're doing it to, and at the same time, how quick it can find you. So I wanted that lesson to be served. But the reality is, I'm just always, as well as with my brothers, Terrence, Clarence, all the folks that was involved, Miss Shona, Dana, Maisha, folks that kind of wrapped they village hands around these young people when I brought them in, that we have a duty as a village that if we don't change their lives for but maybe those hours, maybe but that day, we at least give them something that's different than what they see, right? I knew full well that I'm not knocking what the parenting is doing, but the behavior, that the reason why the behavior was the way it was because something is going on in that household. And that's not saying that the parents are to blame, but something is going on in their exact rule of orientation in the community, and it wasn't the community that we're attached to. So find that, then kind of level out and see what we can do to help them if they want the help, and give them the ability to say there is alternative, there are different people. Because one thing I've learned, if we clean up these young people, right, and we keep on giving them back to the same dirty house, what do you expect the results for that young person to be? Pretty much dirty, right? Because if the house is dirty, right, and we're keep cleaning them up, but we got to keep bringing them back, right? There's no foundation in that house, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's a lot of folks that have a foundation built on sand and water, where foundation for me has to be solid. It has to be cemented. You know what I'm saying? It has to be grounded. And we don't have that in our community. We have to be that liaison to show those kids something different.
Right on. So thank you for that, Brother Barry. This is I'm just being honest, connecting with the Black experience. And so that's definitely was a Black experience this weekend. Also, what you said was very old school, because back in the day when we lived on blocks and you knew everybody on the block, people will say, I just go to your house.
Yeah.
And so that's something right out of the old school book, when you roll up on somebody's house. Mm-hmm. And then the story is very different. And I also find that young people have more respect for you when you do that, because it lets them know that you really for real.
Yeah.
Like, you just not talking that talk for the moment, but you like, I'm really concerned about you, and because I'm concerned about you, I'm rolling up to your house. And that's very different when somebody roll up on your house.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you have to show up different. So Thank you for that, Brother Barry. Did you see the Harriet Tubman movie this weekend?
Well, before we get to the Harriet Tubman movie,
all right,
did you get your Buffalo Wild Wings?
I don't eat at Buffalo Wild Wings. But I mean, for real, because I make wings. I think Black.
Oh, excuse me. Listen. or did you go get your chicken sandwich at Popeyes?
I didn't go get that chicken sandwich, Barry. But look, hey, I think black folks have lost the ability to cook their own chicken. But that's just me. But what happened? Did you go to Buffalo?
I mean, all I know is this racism is getting more. I don't know if I hate to say the word, but it's getting funnier by the day to me. Because there's this idea that black people feel that racism no longer exists in the way that it exists. And then you have all institutional racism, systematic racism, and then you have
dressed it up.
And then you have what I considered the racism black people are used to, right? And that's what I'm saying. The racism black people are used to is definitely racism like this. Can you ask a black family to move because I feel uncomfortable sitting by a black family? That kind of racism. The racism.
That's what happened in Buffalo.
Man, the racism that calls you the N-word. Get what I'm talking about? These are the kind of racism that we're used to in a sense of institutional and systematic are more potent in the delivery and keeps us down, and we'll talk about that later. But I guess that's the situation now. My thing is, okay, Buffalo Wild Wings did what they did, whoever did what they did, they'll get some cultural training, they may get fired, the people that said it are still going to be racist. Why the hell do we keep on going to all of these places and not create our own? You just said it. Negroes, I think if we weren't the inventors of fried chicken, we sure made that shit make sense.
Yes, we did.
Okay? If we weren't the inventors of fried chicken, we probably made fried chicken more famous than Kentucky Fried, what is his name?
Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders.
Who got his recipe from a sister.
Exactly. But that was a time when, the white folks was taking all our inventions or all our ideas.
That was the time. It's still that time.
Well, I mean,
where you think box braids from?
Well, you stop playing around. Where you think Miley Cyrus got that twerking from, right? It still happens.
That irking, because that wasn't twerking. That was an irking.
Man, that was a hard pill to swallow. It happens, but again, it doesn't happen in the way that it was. Like, literally, things were just taken. Like, I got you.
I got you.
Feel me? Well, nowadays, a nigga might get a check or something, and it'd be kind of like, just keep your mouth quiet, right? So my thing, again, is, all right, Buffalo Wild Wings did something wild. But what's the difference of Buffalo Wild Wings happening, with H&M happening, with Gucci happening, with Starbucks happening? I mean, what's really the difference? I mean, I'm asking you, Queen, what is really... Where do we get to the point? Because this all kind of follows into our whole conversation talking about Harriet Tubman, and then we're going to talk about the brother Allen. Yeah. A lot of what we as black people, we may not know what it is. But why do we keep pretending it isn't what it is? And then when something like this happens, we're shocked, we're surprised, we're angered, and the first thing we want to do is go boycott.
I think that's because you have made all of what you just said, made a good old-fashioned Negro. I think sometimes we keep forgetting that the purpose of slavery was to create a new people. A docile people. I mean, like a Negro. Okay. A people who are always confused about what am I? Am I African American? Am I colored? Am I Negroid? Am I Negress? Am I, African American? Am I Afro American? Am I just black? Am I chicka-chaka? I think that's what all of that is. And I always say sometimes black people in America, people who are descendants of enslaved Africans, it's kind of like, I don't even think when whoever came up with the plan of slavery didn't even know that the Negro was going to be so well brainwashed that no matter what you throw at these people, we would just take it, because that's what we were designed to do. When you think about how brutal slavery was, when they was beating and conforming us to be whatever they wanted us to be, I don't even think they understood it was going to work that well, to be very honest with you. I thought, because there were a lot of rebellions and stuff like that, but we just seem like a people who our job is to excuse away bad behavior all the time, because we did that in slavery out of fear that you could be lynched, that you could be whooped, that you could be separated from your family. Now we do it on systematic remote control. Wow. We just do it. We're going to give these people a pass. Oh, the dude didn't know no better. We know what we're looking at when we see racism. We know what we're looking at when we see his daughter colorism. We know what that looks like.
Do we really do?
Yeah. But I think in our minds, we have to act like, in order for us to be seen as Americans, we have to act like that doesn't faze us. That's how that works, Barry. Okay. And I think sometimes we kind of forget that. Me and you looking like, hey, don't you see this? And the rest of us like, well, maybe the guy really did know. Maybe he had a bad experience with some black people at Taco Bell. Maybe, because we do this. We have this way of excusing their behavior, because since we've been here, that's all we've done.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we don't necessarily have any justice. We never can get any justice. Who kills a black man, then gets a hug from the black woman that's the judge, get her hair fixed by the black bailiff, and then get hugged by the person's family? Like, I just want to forgive you.
Yes.
We can't even forgive each other on simple shit like stealing your shoes and you know, pulling stuff out your garden or stepping on your damn shoes.
We hold grudges on each other, for sure.
So, but that's a design of the Negro in slavery. Now we're looking at the straight up descendants of those people.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying, Barry, and that's why we can be at a press conference with such dignity, talking to the press about,
speak their language.
You know, like, I was so offended as a man. Dude, they didn't even see you as a goddamn man. You know that.
Yeah.
But it's this thing of, we have to show that somehow we are just as good as you are, sir.
Yes.
That is so irritating.
Yes.
Because we do that all the time.
All the time.
We do it all the time.
And I think that at the end of the day, it's not only annoying, but we actually have the cure, the recipe, the design, as I call it, the black blueprints, to eradicate all of the hypocrisy, all of the, you know, bullshit snowball effect. We have it. Because, folks, it was so funny. Me and my daughter was driving down, me and my daughter always have to, shout out to the parents that spend special time with their children, even when their children are no longer children, they're adults. It's important.
Yes, it is.
So me and my daughter always, we hang out. Not only is she a part of my business endeavors, but she's my daughter, and I'm always supposed to make sure that's intact so we can get our thoughts, what's going on with you, what's going on with me. Just make sure everything is level. So we driving, and there was this old white guy walking, looking like he was a crackhead from freaking the 60s and stuff like that. All this stuff. And I mean, she was just mumbling stuff. I said, he probably calling us a bunch of N-words. My daughter started dying. And I said, she's like, Dad, why you think that? I said, Deja. I said, that white boy, who is now an older white man, was probably the same white boy back in the day that was helping to lynch us. Because remember, lynching was not illegal at one particular time. Understand what I'm saying? And if you look at the history text of what we know for lynching, how many of them white boys or white, not gonna say white girls, because I don't think any of them really participated in it in the sense of just being around it and just kind of celebrated.
Nope, that's your programming, Barry.
Okay,
she right next to him. When the white man says nigga, you don't say, I just mean the nigga man, not the nigga woman.
When I say about that, when I'm saying that,
so you ain't got to protect the white woman.
I'm saying she probably driving the car, but she ain't doing the hanging. That's all I'm saying.
We don't know. We don't know if she really helped to put the 13 notches.
Exactly, she doing it all.
Not all of them. We know it's not all of them. But I feel like that's the program.
Okay, so let's go in. When white folks was doing the lynching,
that's how they say
white folks was doing the lynching. Yeah. You're right. Thank you for the correction.
Okay.
When white folks was doing the lynching, where are the people that was lynching? Some of them got older. You get what I'm saying? Because nobody went to jail. I mean, there was probably a few incidents that somebody got paid a penalty for doing that. But when them lynchings and them beatings and them fires were in our community, when our communities were burning down, those people eventually got older. And those people eventually had what? Kids. And those kids had kids. And I don't believe that a lot of them was taught a lesson to look at us any differently. Because why would I look at anyone differently when I believe that they are beneath me, when I believe I'm superior, when I'm taught I am superior? So the idea that these folks were reprogrammed when laws have not been changed, ideology has not been changed, fictional appropriation in history has not been diluted. It's been probably sensationalized even more to make you believe that it was pretty much black people that kind of put it on black people, that black people caused their own problems in their communities. You cannot tell me that white guy that we saw walking right there might not have been the white guy that was kicking, putting milk on Negroes when they were sitting at the counters they allegedly weren't supposed to be sitting on.
I agree, but this is what I know to be true, though, Barry. And you're absolutely correct in everything you said. That's what made me so upset about that Harriet Tubman movie. Okay. I felt like so we know, some of y'all may not know, but slavery was brutal. It was not a walk in the park. Do not believe the hype.
What you mean? I thought it was.
No, in the beginning,
wait, hold on a second. I thought the slave owners were feeding the strawberries. No bedtime stories. No. Okay.
No. But here's the crazy part about the.
Did they let us get houses?
What? Barry, look. So, on the road trip, I toured a lot of those plantations. You get to see it, they're still standing there.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say, Barry, is that when Harriet Tubman first came on, she was in a really nice, put-together dress, having like almost a love scene with her husband. Like, oh, baby, I got these papers and blah, blah, blah. And I thought to myself, this movie's going to be bullshit.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why. Every Jewish movie I've ever seen, when they show the gas chamber, these people never be in some nice, fresh pair of pajamas.
Yeah.
Like, you knew immediately they was going to whitewash this shit. In the first scene, they act like they was like a Gone with the Wind or something. He lifting her up. Baby, I got your papers and I can buy you. And I said, what the kind of crap goo gaga shit is this? I thought to myself. But as I went on in the movie, the way they portrayed the black man was absolutely sad.
Yeah.
First of all, y'all scared shitless.
Yeah.
Black man scared? That okay. Even back in 1850? Okay.
I thought some black men had heart back then.
Well, hold on.
I thought black men had heart out there.
Then they showed this real famous guy from Philly during the abolition movement. He was scared. Like Harriet Tubman got the freedom and they started bossing people around. I thought to myself, who wrote this shit? That's number one. Two. Then the third one is her dad was too afraid to look at her because he didn't want to lie to the master and say he haven't seen her. So every time you see her dad, he was like covering his eyes and he didn't want to see her. And then the part that really got me is when she stayed at this boarding house, and then the woman played by Janelle Monáe, basically the guy who was hunting her was a black man with the white slave owner, and he beats the shit out of this black woman and kills her. But they never showed any white people doing anything like that to any black person through the whole movie.
Wow.
So that in itself to me was like, now wait a minute. All the violence in the movie was perpetrated by black people through the whole movie. And I thought to myself, I don't think that American blacks, and now I'm gonna push the thing, I don't think that mixed people, honestly, especially, because the good woman who directed it, she was a black woman, but she's not African American. And I think that,
Nigerian. She's Nigerian.
No, that's the actress who played Harriet. The woman who directed it was a black woman.
Okay.
And we've seen her in a lot of stuff too. Right. So she's mixed.
You don't know.
I don't think they're capable of doing any truth to things that happened in slavery. I don't think so. We have to always consider how white people are going to feel about it. The only film I ever seen in my lifetime, and I've seen a lot of films, and also based on the experience of what happened to enslaved Africans, was 12 Years a Slave.
Okay. And why was that?
Because that brother was from Africa, even though he lived in London. His wife was white. But he worked on that for 10 years. And when he told that story, that shit was so brutal. When they was whooping Patsy's ass.
Oh, that was bad.
And when that white woman threw that damn glass thing in her eye, my homegirl's still mad about it. She said, if I ever see that action, I'm just going to take off on her.
No, it was bad.
But they didn't dress it up. They weren't walking around with nice clothes on and looking like happy people. Them black people look wore the fuck out in that movie. They don't look like they just came home from working at Walmart.
Not at all.
You know what I mean?
And I think
this shit is crazy.
No. In the movie though, because like I said, I've watched some trailers. I've watched.
And then she had a chance to shoot the white man. She didn't, Barry. She gave a long ass speech. That's when I was like, what? I almost walked the fuck out the theater.
I've watched some pirate, the pirate movie of it. You know what I mean? The old school pirates. When folks had the pirate films and stuff like that on different channels. So I've got to see certain things, right? But my idea and what you did to go ahead and see the film, why and what did you get out of it besides what you just said?
I didn't get shit out of it. What I got out of it.
So you're mad that you saw the film?
I am.
Okay.
I should have got it on Fire Stick or some shit. I should have got a bootleg copy or some shit. I wanted to support our dear sister, Dr. Flo. She did a blackout of the whole theater. Black woman do some shit, I show up. You know what I mean? I love what she does. Yes, I love it. And so, some black folks, we could take the smell out of shit and make it smell good. When we know it's just shit.
Yes.
But we do that. I think that's the magic of being a descendant of enslaved people in America. Didn't we take the guts out of a pig and make that shit a delicacy?
Yes.
And when we know this shit, we call this shit chitterlings.
Oh,
Even though if you're bougie, it's chitterlings. And some people, it's just chitlings.
I call it chitlings. The nastiest shit on earth. But go ahead.
So I'm saying all that to say about the Harriet movie that, there were just points like when she had a chance to shoot her slave master, she gonna give him a long ass speech. And I said to myself, are you fucking kidding me? So no, I didn't get anything out of it. I really didn't. I took a few young ladies. One of my girls who I love, whose name is Harriet, who because of this young sister on the road trip, I actually went to Harriet Tubman's gravesite, and like I always want to go, and she's like, let's go by there. I was like, okay, I can do that. Even she, because she read so much about Harriet Tubman, because she has her name, she's a namesake. She said, this is crazy. This is messed up, Miss Rose. None of this shit is real. This is a young person. So while the rest of us adults is drinking the goddamn Kool-Aid because we want to have a hero so bad.
Wow. So wait, hold on. So
you want to have a hero so bad.
This wasn't the Black Panthers?
No.
So wasn't Black Panther?
I don't even know.
Wakanda forever?
No, this is not one of those. This is like, we're going to tell y'all the lies about your heroes forever.
Okay.
I was always taught that when somebody attempts to give you back your heroes and make you believe something about them, they got to taint them to do it.
Wow.
I don't think this is an accident. I'm watching right now The Godfather of Harlem. I think the portrayal of Malcolm X and Malcolm X's character doing okay. First of all, he sounds just like Malcolm, but it's some questionable shit in there. But the dude who's playing Adam Clayton Powell, they're making him look like a buffoon. When people take your heroes and put money behind them and produce them and give them back to you, it's so that you don't look at it as critical as they would have made you think about it. Hell, if we really knew the real story of Harriet Tubman, we should be fired the fuck up. We should be immediately getting rid of Comcast. We should. When the first thing came on, boom, Comcast. I was like, whoa.
Well, here's the thing. But let's. I think you're going now. You're going past it.
Yeah, I get you.
Because they don't. Some folks might not know what we're talking about when we talk about Comcast.
You're right,
so let's stay with the movie first.
Okay. Well,
okay. Because now that when you saw what you saw afterwards, because you didn't know what was going on. I sent you a message.
Yeah, I said that Friday morning, but I went there Friday night.
Yeah, I said, sis, did you see this?
Yeah, I listened to it all morning.
And you were like, nah. And I was like, okay, you check it out.
I did.
And you already had your tickets.
I just wish that, I did. I already bought all the tickets. But I just wish I had heard that before and somebody had attached that to the Harriet Tubman immediately. Did it would have been more crucial. But I didn't know.
And now what folks we were talking about with the Byron Allen lawsuit with Comcast, we're definitely going to get to that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I know, but that's also good that you said that. So let's go into dissecting the movie, right? Okay. From what you've seen and what you saw of the movie,
get on fire stick.
Was there anything from this movie aside to strong black woman leading her folks out to freedom? Was there anything outside of the Comcast thing? Outside of the fact that the narrative was shooken to where it was pretty
inaccuracies all through the goddamn movie.
But wasn't there inaccuracies in the Nat Turner movie?
You know what?
Hasn't there been inaccuracies in every kind of movie that we've had about the black people in general?
No, but here's the thing. But the truth for Nat Turner, no matter how they spin it, I thought it was showing at least people did something to fight back. The Nat Turner movie was about a slave rebellion. Okay. That was about a slave rebellion. Because before then, there was no films about a slave rebellion. Okay. So the brother did take a stab at it. Okay. And I got to give him credit for that. But the person who did this, it's like, dude, first of all, this is Harriet Tubman. That's number one. We can't dress up her experience. You just can't dress that up. Okay. You know what I mean? You just can't see, I think it's not an incident that they're trying to put on a $20 bill. We're at the stage in America where reparations is on the table hard. Now they got to make her experience seem kind of docile. So only the white people funded this movement. I learned that a lot of free black people and enslaved black people who somehow got free funded a lot of those movements. You didn't just show up in Philly and the white people like, welcome, Negro. Yeah. They still have racism in Philly. Yeah. Shit, they had racism in Canada when they all had to run from the Fugitive Slave Act. Yeah. They got to Canada and then the white people started tripping. I learned that when I went to Canada.
So in the same sense of what Harriet Tubman in the fact of one, black man's a villain.
Oh God, y'all punks like a mother.
Like that, not only punks, but we're villain, Jesus. Right? We are perpetuating what the media displays to us right now currently, right?
Right on.
Okay, so that sticks to the stigma of what black men look like. Right. We're not there for our women, right? We are the criminals, right? We are the villain, right? And in a sense of it, because I think we do it to ourselves. The rhetoric between black men and women, and it's not saying that you and I are saying that Negroes ain't shit, bees ain't shit. I think that plays into the volume of what I hear, like I'm hearing on my headphones. Right, that's kind of like what it is. Because if it's a united front, if I respect you, you respect me across the board, can they even get away with even trying to put that in a movie?
They can if you don't know your damn history.
But I think that in the reality, I think that even the people that's in the film that are black actors, black actresses, and folks that I know they have a part, because it's a black film, right?
Right.
It was black directed, right?
I don't know what constitutes a black film.
Okay. Was it black funded?
No.
Okay. But it is black produced and black directed, right?
Well, we know it was black directed, but it wasn't black produced.
Okay. So in the sense of
it's
it all,
produced by Comcast.
Okay. So in the sense of it all, there are some elements of blackness to some degree of influence, right? So I feel like if there was a channel of us having more of this unity for each other as black men and black women, maybe you don't get those kind of images out there. Maybe someone says I don't feel comfortable with a black man killing or being the brute in this movie, because that's not really what goes on. I think that it becomes such a norm because we've seen this in society. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, that black men, when we look at domestic violence throughout America, the rise of black men killing black women is up. And it's never used to be a thing. It's now a thing. I used to see like, okay, it'd be some spousal situations, but now literally black men are killing black women. In a way,
I don't disagree with that, Barry, but I think you're talking apples and oranges. We cannot, I think you tell me this sometimes, we cannot talk about the injustices of slavery, skip over the white people's brutality of black folks, and go straight into black men killing black women.
Okay, but I'm not staying in that because I'm sticking with I'm sticking with my gun. Yeah, I know. I'm just sticking to the guns on what the imagery is, right? But in the same sense, now you have the white man, right? The white man who, in sense, when we talked about it, I told you, like, I heard that there could possibly be like a love scene or just some kind of love fest between her and the white guy, which was thank God wasn't true. But
no, it was, but it's the undertone.
The undertone of it was.
It was the undertone.
The undertone of this being a situation where here comes a white guy, like we talked on last show about Black Panthers. Like, why did it have to be essentially the white guy that the black people saved, brought to Wakanda, and really was, you are the key. If you don't jump on the ship or do this, we're going to be screwed. That kind of saved the day.
It really was. He was going to be screwed.
The reality is Harriet Tubman, is that the same thing that kind of reaches out as well?
Oh, yes. Like, at the end, they showed her commanding a army during the Civil War. Okay. Are you crazy? During the Civil War, hold on a second. Because I was a smoker, I'd be in here smoking like...
She's commanded... one of the most wanted fugitive slaves in the world. They had her triumphantly in the Civil War commanding a group of soldiers?
Yes.
Shit, yeah, I don't believe that.
Yes.
I can't believe
That's what I'm saying. At some point, you have to be like, is y'all serious? Like, and I would rather see Medea in a goddamn dress.
Yes.
Than this shit. I don't even watch Medea like that, y'all, for real.
That's why, as I understand, we are all attached. Like, I'm grabbing your hand. We're all attached to white supremacy in some shape, form, or fashion. So it's hard for us to allocate the idea of boycott, don't see the movie. But what we're trying to say and what we're breaking down, what Mama wrote, is really cementing is the inaccuracies are so defining and so deafening. Because if there was a point in time in history, because the Civil War, for those who don't know, that was a big deal, right? That was a big deal, right?
Oh, definitely.
So if the Civil War was played out and a character, or and of course she's not a character in say, but I'm going to use that as a character because she's a real life person, individual, better word, like Harriet Tubman, was out there and was in front of helping the North battle the South, that would be in the history books because it would have been a phenomenal feat that a black woman, aside to a black person, but a black woman was leading some troops and some soldiers to war, right? Was it black and white folks in the crowd that she was... It
was all black men.
Okay.
It was it was horrible, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm not one of those people who like, thank you, master. Thank you for this grain of rice. Thank you. No, dude, it was wrong as hell.
So it was
and
an
then
empowerment.
all the racism. See, go to the African American Smithsonian. We have fought in every war. Don't get it twisted. But and no matter what side we was on, the North or the South, because there were black men who fought on the side of the South as well. Let's not dress this shit up. As the kids say, keep the shit all the way 100.
I'm just being honest.
Right? They had to suffer racism from the so-called white people whose side they were fighting on. You think they gonna let some woman that's messing up their economy? Don't get it twisted. The Civil War was about economy. It was not about freeing black people.
Not at all.
Okay? It's not. It's like, yo, you know, because the white slave owners did get reparations. Mm-hmm. Okay? There were reparations given not to the people who deserved them, but to the people who owned our ancestors. Don't get it twisted up in here. Mm-hmm. So to sit up here and produce a movie with all of these flat out lies in it. Flat out lies in it.
It couldn't make the movie good.
It was horrible. But you know, you had Negroes in there clapping. I said, this is worse than the shit when I watched Rosewood and the little white boy told his dad, I hate you. And all the black people started clapping. I said, look at these goddamn slaves. Not enslaved, but slaves.
So your you might. Where's the? We ain't got our fans over here. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I'm don't even worry about it today. I'll use this right over here. You know what I mean?
Who that pissed me off?
So getting into it. It was a disappointing movie because, again, clearer inaccuracies, but the reality that they literally were trying to, as they've done in the history books, make it a minute look and conduct themselves as if enslavement of our people was merely something that some white folks were doing just to get ahead. It really wasn't rules across the board, that this brave black woman who had some other brave white folks that said, I stand with you, I'm going to help you move some slaves out. And of course, the black man who was brainwashed by the white slave owner wanted to make sure you kept the enactment of enslavement and the financial benefits of it to the master, and as well as some of the coons in there intact. That's kind of the preface of the movie. So
here's the thing, Denise. You know I love me some Harriet Tubman now. I do so much stuff about her on the road trip. So yeah, I felt some kind of way. At some point, somebody has to guard the legacy of our freedom fighters, because these people will have us believe that Harriet Tubman would have been sliding down a goddamn stripper pole if you let them tell the story how they really see her. You know, but then you have some of our silly ass Negro asses like the sister that directed this. I don't even want to call her a sister because I'm so upset with her that she even produced some shit like that. And then she had a scene where a mulatto girl helped them escape. And the real story is, somebody got to read the book called, it's by a woman named, I wrote it down over here, The Moses of Her People by Sarah Bradford. It's the autobiography of Harriet Tubman as told by her in her own words. That it was a white man who did that they dressed up the mixed person as. That was another account where they helped the mixed girl escape and dressed her as a man. But it had nothing about freeing other slaves. So there she was putting her little spin in it because she's a mixed race person. She gonna make some shit up about somebody who looked like her in there. You just, black folks, we have no goddamn friends. Not even people that we produce out of us that's half of us. Sometimes they can show up as your enemy. Not all. No, a lot. But a lot of these motherfuckers.
So in the sense of it all, we are yelling at folks right now, boycott. Are we saying boycott? Are we saying not go see the movie?
Yeah, that's what the question she asked.
That's what I'm saying.
I just say bootleg that shit.
Bootleg it, but don't go to jail for it, right?
Yeah, bootleg that shit.
But at the same particular time,
get them on it.
Yeah, I mean, bootleg that shit. Bootleg that shit. Bootleg, okay, we got to throw a little gangbang.
That's right.
Shouts out to the gangbangers. But again, are we saying what we saying in a sense of no Harriet Tubman? But why are we saying no on Harriet Tubman? We keep on saying yes to white Jesus.
Well, look, I ain't into white Jesus.
I'm just saying though.
Look. Let me tell you something.
I mean, when Nichols love fiction, don't we?
They push that heavily in the movie too.
If
you really know Harriet Tubman, and one of my young people hit me with this, she didn't really get religious till after she was free after a while.
Yeah.
I think everybody has belief, but I don't think she was no Bible turping Christian. Even in the beginning, she gonna pray the master to die. Why she couldn't pray the boy to die? Shit. I mean, come on, y'all.
But I'm just saying, Queen. Shouts out to D. She's saying, I'm not saying boycott it.
Look at the bootleg. No,
don't even bootleg it.
Yeah.
Queen, don't even fire stick that joint. Don't holler at the CD guy. You wildin'.
That's how you help the black economy. You help that bootlegging before they make that legal like the weed.
Why are we sitting there upset? Like the craziest part about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Black Panther came out fictional as fuck. Wakanda. Fictional
it was good for the soul.
A good feeling. And we all got dashikis. Well, a lot of us did. We already had them. Niggas got and I was loving it. Because I made some money off my Black Blueprint shirts that had Black Panther. I mean, I kept on rolling. I was going to movie theaters, dropping them off. So shouts out to that. I need Black Panther 2 to come. I'm going to be ready like I was last time. And shouts out to anybody that wants to wear.
It probably ain't going to be as black as the first one, though.
Black Panther gear, www.blackpanther with a Z.com. Shameless plug. But why are we so much in reluctance? I've never seen this much controversy off of two bios with Nat Turner and Harriet Tubman that I've ever seen in the fictional play that we're okay with, right? In a sense that why are we so irritated? Because folks were just as irritated, not as much as they are with Harriet, they were with Nat Turner. You get what I'm talking about? And right. I think Nat Turner, he lifted up a majority of the weight of being the producer, the director, and even the financial backing for the majority of it, of that movie. And it didn't go close to the numbers that Harriet Tubman did. Harriet Tubman was still a successful movie. And I say it was a successful movie because of one thing. Because it was a black woman taking leadership. And I say that not to knock my black women, because I salute my sisters, but in the new emergence of black women take lead, black women standing and saying, yo, it's got to be us, we got to be the next, and as well as you guys deserve it, because black women have been leads in a majority of the households anyway, right? So I'll give the shout out. I think that's what the extreme of it all being, that it's a black woman playing this lead role and being Harriet Tubman.
She's not black. She's Nigerian, British person.
Listen, Queen.
I'm just gonna have to
start I hear what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but she's still black.
And you're right. And Sister said what's dangerous about this movie is that people walk away believing that it's a fact. That's why I'm so upset about it.
But she's black, and I know what I know what folks say. She's black. She's Nigerian.
She's talking about Harriet Tubman.
No, I know. That's what I said. And I know, folks. The first point that came out before the movie even popped up with all of the inaccuracies was that she was Nigerian playing this role, and folks was like the Nigerians. She
wasn't believable to me as Harriet Tubman. For me, she wasn't believable.
I just look at it like
too clean cut.
I mean, everyone's
Her
dream
teeth
guy
was nice.
Listen, everyone's dream guy Idris. He played a drug dealer, and he played it great in Baltimore. Then we found out he had a British accent, and no one worried about that.
He was fine as hell.
Exactly.
So,
look at you. Where's the fan at? She's just being honest, though. Okay, but again, with the Harriet Tubman, why is it that we are saying no to her, but we continue to say yes to white Jesus? Why is it?
I would know, because I don't say yes to white Jesus. Okay. But I'm going to say this, Barry. I think black folks in America have been brutalized so.
Okay.
And I have to I'm not using that as an excuse. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like when you're trying to get somebody out of a brutal relationship, but they just ain't done with it yet. Wow. And even though we see that, as you say this all the time, we are in a domestic violence situation in America as black folks. I just feel like some people, they need that. Like some people need crack. Some people, you have addictions, crack addiction, sex addiction, food addiction. I think we are addicted to these white people and feel off balance if they're not involved. If they're not in the room, we start to feel some kind of way. We start shaking like a crack addict. Wow. We don't believe things.
If we can't pick up their phone and call their police to come help us to feel protected. Like, I think separation a lot, just like in a domestic violence relationship, for those who've no family or friends, and maybe for those, and no disrespect, that have been in some. I mean, it can be also, it doesn't have to always be physical. You know what I'm saying? It can be verbal as well, right? Mental as hell. Yeah. I think that's because we lack their strong movies, though folks don't even know Cicely Tyson made the first Harriet Tubman movie.
Which was more believable. That's what I'm telling kids. Go see that one.
I think that because
Yeah.
the window and the heroic nature of a Black Panther creates a heroic nature of Harriet Tubman, because the black woman is God first off, and the black woman is a superhero, and the black woman does not get the credit of being a superhero and being a champion in what was one of the worst times of black history, the enslavement of our people, and the story of her leading slaves to you know what I'm saying, a foundation that was out of enslavement, to be in that position, to see that, it brings that, yes, feeling to us. But the unfortunate part of it, as sister's saying, why it's so dangerous, it becomes our norm, it becomes our narrative, and there is no one outside of the powers that be is really critically dissecting why and what. And then what you have in the Black Planet, you have us going at each other's neck, disrespecting each other about why we shouldn't watch it and why we should watch it. And there's all these intangibles. Well, we should watch it because it's a black director, it's black sisters, it's black people getting money. Well, we shouldn't watch it because, guess what? It's inaccurate. But then, if we don't watch it, well, what y'all Negroes want? Y'all don't ever gonna get no movies or get anything displayed. So it's a catch-22.
Black folks don't get to have choices. Because last time I checked, we created everybody on the planet.
Oh, shit.
I think all of these emotions, Barry, it makes us all human beings. Mm-hmm. Some black people going to love that Harriet Tubman movie because it's going to excuse away the shit they choose to do.
Yeah.
To keep us suppressed. Some of us is going to hate it. Mm-hmm. Because we know this shit is wrong, and we know some people watch stuff and they think that it's fact, because most of us don't study, most of us don't read. The book is called The Moses of Her People by Sarah Bradford. This is Harriet Tubman's autobiography. How many people gonna pick that up and read the shit? How many of y'all gonna go watch a woman called Moses? So at least you can have at least a couple of different versions of it. It is my prayer, because I'm not seeing the movie ever again, but it is my prayer that I hope somebody would look at that and be like, let me go ahead and do my little version on my $10,000 budget or whatever the hell. I think we got a bum rush to show when people tend to lie and want to dress up our heroes and make them the way we render them, the way they want us to see them. We should challenge them and do our own. We can make videos all day long. Hell, when you think about a season of a reality show, you can make a film based on that shit.
Yeah.
You know, so I always say, hey, if you don't like the way it's made, that's why I did my little rant and I was done with it. Go write your own shit. Mm-hmm. Produce your own version of Harriet Tubman. Shit, do one better than that. How about you get in the goddamn car and follow her trail up to Canada and learn about her along the way?
I think that's crazy that she was leading a rally of black soldiers in the Civil War. That is fucking like,
we don't have that shit right now.
How triumphant is
we don't have that right now. We got black people in the army. You ain't gonna see Colin Powell leading just all black men. What the fuck?
Wow, the most wanted slave.
Yes.
They had her come back. And I don't think that people really understand.
We downplay that shit so much.
Like, I don't, and that's the problem. We downplay racism and enslavement. That's why when shit hits the fan for us, and I be looking at Negroes sideways like you silly ass Negroes. Yeah, because it's like, well, when I was sitting there talking about all this racist shit, you Negroes is looking at me like I'm crazy. Barry, you're too much of this black stuff. It's all this black power. We all need to be empowered. We're all human. And that's never something that I'm just being honest though. That's never something I never ever try to make people feel that I am saying that I want all black everything. I'm saying I want all black everything because I want to have alternatives. So at the end of the day, if I'm with the woman, I'm going to break it down in simple language to some of y'all who need to hear it. If I'm in a relationship with a woman, because I'm a heterosexual, masculine, black man. Yeah, let me not say that. Not toxic.
Barry.
Not toxic.
You're not allowed to say that.
I ain't allowed to say it.
Now.
I'm a heterosexual, masculine, black male that loves my black woman. But I also know she is goddess. I am God. Right. We think differently. What is it? Mars and moon, whatever. We make beautiful things. Right, but at the end of the day, you got your shit. I got my shit, meaning I got my car. You got your car. And if we're lucky, we'll have a middle car together. That means we have 3. But what I'm saying,
I agree.
What I'm saying is we're going to make sure we both have our own. But when we combine, it makes it a lot better. We as Africans, yes, black people, Africans,
right on.
We choose to think that after enslavement, after them, when Abraham Lincoln, who was what is that? Segregationist,
right?
Who was not for black people being free because he cared, because it was a financial opportunity for a bigger picture.
You better tell it, Barry.
That he wanted us away. And he felt that we would have no chance because he knew the powers of his people and as well as his own ideologies. We have to understand our history that has never ever been okay for all of us. So in a sense of being a smart person, I'm saying I'm not going to give up all of my freedoms. I'm going to make sure I continue to have something just in case shit don't work out here. And for me or you to argue that, and for black people to now wake up all of a sudden and say, well, God, maybe Mama Ro and Barry, when they've been talking that shit all this time, was right. Because it's not sitting there saying, like some extremists, black people need to kill all white people. That's just not even fucking smart. Because to be honest with you, I don't want to be around all black people all the time. But I do know one thing. I want to control my own destiny. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. I don't want someone telling me what to do. I don't want to have to sign into a boss. I don't want to have to a motherfucker tell me what assignment, fire me when he wants to. I'd rather hold my own destiny in my own hand.
You don't want to be a slave, Barry.
I don't want to be in that. But I don't understand. We keep on going through all these heartaches and these pains and these issues because we have yet found it in our own sensible minds, the people that built this country, that it is better for us to have alternatives. It is better for us to have our own, because when we have our own, we become more power players. They're going to bring more of us to the table except the one token Negro that's just going to take the check and be gone. And talk to 10 black people and give it to their people, and it's going to be satisfactory to whatever quota they had to stand by. It gets ridiculous that we go in this redundant conversations and redundant arguments over and over when a movie comes out, when a racist incident happens, when our kids are being slain, and when something epidemic happens to our community that's aligned to white supremacy, we all go into a rage. But I say to my people, well, what the fuck are we going to do about it? We know what it is. You can't expect a person who doesn't see it the way you see it to talk it and present it the way you believe it's supposed to be represented. Right. You can't expect someone to go get you supper. You got to go get it for yourself.
Right on.
That's how we do it when we talk to our kids. We tell our kids to be independent. So why isn't the mentality of black people in that same idea? Because they're not going to change, because they don't have to change. I was in a relationship and my woman knew I was cheating on her. And she did nothing about it. She didn't go outside of the relationship. She never left me. What you think I'm going to keep on doing?
Keep doing what you're doing.
Why not? It's working for me. It might not be working for you, but it's working for me.
Right on.
And it's working for the white man. It's working for all the powers that exist, the white woman. It's working for the system. And now we move into now a bigger situation. When you talked about Comcast.
Right on.
We'll talk to us about why, if you knew what you knew, why you would have sat there and said, this is on Comcast. Tell us about that, sister.
No, I just know when I was there, because I listened to Byron Allen's interview.
Can you give a little bit of piece on what Byron Allen?
So basically, he's going to court against. Actually, he sued Comcast and another company, and he won against Comcast, and so Comcast has taken him to the Supreme Court. So on November the 13th, he's basically going to be going before the Supreme Court to argue this discrimination suit against Comcast. And I'm just giving you the part about Comcast. I think what he said before didn't really make sense on why we should be paying attention to this case. So I guess he has 30 minutes to present his case. And the other side, Comcast, have 30 minutes to present their case, but they have given 10 minutes of their time to Donald Trump's administration to present their case. And let me show you how these people work together. So as much as we all think Donald Trump is this ugly demon, there are people out here who support ugly demons because ugly demons allow you to keep the power that you want. So it's not about some white people walking around with white sheets on and no teeth and calling you nigga. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the powers that be, who's like, I don't want to give y'all shit, period. Like, you know, and you have to prove 100% that is racism. Not 99%, not 72%, but 100%. So they say, yeah, we discriminate against you 90%, but the other 10% is because we didn't like your t-shirt. Then they get off. He broke that down so plain. I remember that.
That was crazy.
And so,
and this is a 1866 civil rights.
1866. That's they taking it all the way back to that time.
Wow, 153 years ago.
Yes. Okay. Now, mind you. So my thing
but racism is dead and gone.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, Barry. This is just me. This is just how I feel. I feel like some of this shit is a lesson for the bushy Negroes who think they right up there with white people.
Okay.
Those of us who have fought tooth and nail to say, I am an expert in this.
Just sit at the seat.
Yeah, I want to sit at the table because I believe I have what it takes to change their mind.
Infiltrate
and
the
the
system.
book that you got approved on was the shit that they wrote. My uncle used to say, blessed memory, elders have, now who are ancestors, have given me such pearls in my life. He used to say, the white man will never make a law that will convict himself.
Wow.
This fool can change it in middle stream if he wanted to. Be like, like the man at Buffalo Wild Wings. I didn't tell him to move. I thought that
the simple fact that black people moved is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Queen.
But the black man, you know, I think sometimes, Barry, we talk about we're men, we're women, but we don't even know what that's like because you were enslaved, boo-boo. You were erased.
3/5.
It's kind of like trying to go into your mainframe and find that shit that you erased.
Yeah.
You know, like say, I don't know, 100 years ago, and you know that shit is disintegrated and the new program is running all over the place.
Yeah.
Like it's running through your body like a damn virus, and you have no antibiotics, no nothing to fight this virus.
Yeah.
We are like the antibodies. We coming in this mug like, wake up, and we like, oh no, that don't feel right because it means you must do something for yourself, and you're not willing to do that shit.
Yeah.
Because that's scary, Barry.
Very much so.
That shit is scary when you have to get up and fight for your goddamn self. We are fighting for our lives right now.
So in this lawsuit, right? In the lawsuit, he's suing Comcast and who else?
And it's another cable giant.
What's Charter or something like that? Because I know he sued AT&T and he won that, and I believe he also won Charter, right? But in a sense of him suing Comcast, he's basically saying that the economic inclusion that we're not included, like they're spending so much money. Like $70 billion of you know ad or whatever to you know give to black people, and black people aren't getting that money. Is that kind of like what it is?
Yeah, for the most part. So and Charter.
Okay.
That's what it is. He's suing both Comcast and Charter for $20 billion with a B, people.
Okay.
$1 billion over racial discrimination.
And they're bringing him to court.
But Trump's JOD. And rips Trump's JOD for racism because they're going to have 10 minutes of that 30 minutes with Comcast to basically go at his claim. And this is the scary part. I love Byron and I think the brother's a hero. I have a newfound respect. I didn't know him that much. So I'm just saying it's newfound because I didn't know you.
Well, mind you, he started off as a comedy dude, and he had this like my real friends or some shit like that. Late night, I remember being like shoot high at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. This shit used to come on back in the days. I used to be like, this dude is wild, and you know, Infomil commercials, all the shit. But that's how he blew up. But go ahead, Queen.
But here's the crazy part, and I love him for all of his what he's attempting to do here. But I just gotta be honest. This is no knock on our brother. So I think what he's doing is great. But it's kind of like being with somebody who did something wrong. But it's a part of the culture, though. That's a part of his culture, not my culture. And then I go to the person's house, who culture it is, and ask their mom to see it my way. When she is the holder of the culture. When you go to the Supreme Court, you don't get to be a Supreme Court judge because you're radical or that you take stands against things. They don't really have like the Mexican immigrant on the Supreme Court.
Okay.
They don't have the strongest Malcolm X kind of dude on the Supreme Court. They got people like Clarence Thomas. You know, you just really don't. You know, thanks to the last brother we had, he didn't put nobody on there really that could hold it. But when your boy was on there, he was stacking the decks. The guy before him, Bush, was putting people on there that he knew would uphold these kind of things. And then, you know, Barack Hussein Obama, he couldn't put nobody on because supposedly his hands was tied. And, you know, we're always believing shit on people's hands being tied. But they won't be tied for the white supremacists who hold this country together on their culture of hate and mistreatment of people. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm praying for the brother like you do. You go into your prayer warrior mode and pray that the brother gets some justice because we're all in this together. But I just got to be honest, Mary. I don't know how you go to the Supreme Court of the land and think that they're going to do something different than historically. How many justices on that Supreme Court? How many of them have always sided with shit against the people? They got Roberts on there. They got Clarence Thomas. They got their token Negro on there. Obama could have appointed a black woman, but again, y'all gonna say, but his hands was tied. He immediately go, hey, well, nigga, go out fighting shit.
Listen, talking about Obama and talking about Allen, he had a lot of very unkind things, very critical things to say about Obama, as well as Al Sharpton. And some of those things were some of the conversation that we allocate a lot about having the token Negroes, and something that you said that rang in my ear as he said it. You are not the black token Negro to speak for me. And you've said that a lot of times. I said, like, how does that person get to talk from my experience? That's not my experience. And he said that in a way of a lot of organizations like the Urban League, NAACP, that have been paid by Comcast, that have kind of been on the books.
Oh, so where check is on the line.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, where different chapters have probably spoke out, but then kind of have to rescind their statement because of how heavy the hold is, that because he hasn't had backing, because we as African Americans have not talked about this, really don't even know about it. I think in the last stage and phase of it, because he's going to the Supreme Court November 13th, it's like now a talking point, because we should have been talking about this as soon as he had put the lawsuit. We should have been kind of rallying around it, but a lot of us, unfortunately, are getting the information now. It was very surprising, one, and I liked his articulation of how he really sat there and broke down the simple fact that a lot of these organizations are holding us back because as they get the checks to stabilize their foundations and their network, they're really not being heroic in a way to really being radical, because they're getting these folks, and the same, I want to say, CEO that he's suing was getting an award from the LA chapter of the Urban League, right? So it's almost as if, and these are the kind of words that we've said, and we've said this before, and I hope folks follow us. I don't want to be called a minority. You know what I mean? I don't want to be called a people of color.
Ain't that minor about you?
And you know why we don't want to be called minorities? And he broke it down, and he spoke the language, and I was so happy he said it, because it now doesn't make us look like we're crazy and then we're speaking from conspiracy ideology. He was basically saying, what is considered minority, Queen?
To be minor.
No, even deeper than that. As far as individuals, what do we consider minority? Because in minority, that's what we think, right? We assume minorities, black people, Mexicans, right?
Yeah.
Minorities are really white women and LGBTQ, gay white men. You get what I'm talking about? They're a part of that minority.
You know what I mean? Anybody can be thrown in.
Exactly.
I get
so
that.
when you sit there and say
they can switch back to being white.
Listen, if you go back and sit there and say what we're doing is we working with our minority partners, Negroes don't even have to be in that equation. Or they can have, again, one token Negro. And in the sense of us understanding what he's trying to do with Comcast, and folks will sit there and say, well, Comcast supports a lot of black-owned networks, but are they really black-owned? As we know, it's a black-owned network, but what is BET?
Wait a minute. So he said something that was deep. The guy asked him, "Don't you want to be racial? What did he say? Black? Why do you want to be black owned instead of being black targeted?"
Exactly.
And that spoke to me.
That's the type of thing that we're talking about.
That spoke to me.
BET is black what?
Targeted black audience.
Okay.
It ain't black owned.
What Byron Allen owns with all of the Weather Channel, the Griot, is called what? Black owned.
Right.
Ebony
Right
Magazine is called what? Black owned.
Right on.
These are not considered black what? Targeted. It's a different dynamic. And when we talk about black targeted, just because you're black targeted don't mean the rest of us, we ain't getting targeted. You know what I mean? So in a sense of us believing these ideas that we're included, we're not. We're actually X'd out, and we get X'd out because niggas would rather check the check. It's almost the same idea of what Jay-Z just did. Instead of being a man to go, and I believe you have to sit down, with the enemy and kind of feel them out, see what it is. First demand for me, because I know what my people want to see, to let them feel a level of change, to make me feel inspired. It's not you saying, well, we've talked about protesting and sitting down and kneeling. Now we got to move on from that. I think that's done. No, I'm here to sit there and make sure somebody picks up Colin Kaepernick. That's the first agenda. And if someone's not picking up Colin Kaepernick, at the end of the day, I'm Jay-Z, I make enough money. He made a quote say, they need me more than I need them. You walk away from the table. But you don't go to the table and say, well, what's really in it for me? And soup it up, put it on a suit and tie, dress it up to make it seem like it's for us the people. Right. It's not really us the people. Right. And what I loved about Brian Allen said was me. But knowing the me means it's going to benefit all of us.
Right on.
So his idea was like, well, I am not feeling that. But the reality is that it will be effective to all of us. So we got to understand that the idea of him creating that analogy of targeted and owned is two different preferences.
Right on.
We are in a owned black business, even though our owner might be a little, sometimes. But it's black owned. Right this is not black targeted. Right. This is a black owned facility.
Right.
Black owned.
Yeah.
And when you see the people, it's black. Not when we look at BET, everything is black, but who's getting that big paycheck? So
basically, Byron Allen versus Comcast Supreme Court race case could reshape the bias lawsuit. So basically saying, while the TV mogul alleges racism and Comcast refusal to license his channels, the U.S. business worried that a win for Allen during the new high Supreme Court term would increase legal costs and hurt their reputation. So here it is. This is a giant. America will keep its giant afloat and not see it fall.
Yeah.
Isn't that why they gave those bailouts? That Obama, it was right there signing off.
But and that goes into a deeper conversation why some of us have been critical of Jesus Obama. Because he said it out there. There have been reports of bias and racism by banks like Wells Fargo and Bank of America that they've had to pay out black customers and consumers because of their loan practices at the bank, where they have looked at us as being high risk, and even if we are not high risk, they still don't give us the same kind of obligation as they would give our counterpart or someone outside of our race. So the reality of what Allen asked, and this is from his mouth, for the Obama administration to do is to do an audit. That audit would open up the doors of what we know is institutional what? Racism against us. Because the sense of why we can't assume ultimate power, we lack monies and resources and access. That's all it is. We have powers and numbers, but we don't have money. We don't have resources. We don't have access. And the access is with banks being able to work with people like ourselves to be able to open up small businesses, give us house loans. But he was saying, investigate that. And what you will see is a plot thickening. Obama did what? He didn't do anything. And in that sense,
his hands were tied.
And in that sense, for us to understand how extreme that makeover could have been for us, if you're going to bail out the banks, that for me, I wouldn't have gave a shit if them motherfuckers collapsed. It was him, Obama, our own black president, that decided, and you niggas can argue with me when you want to, however, and talk about what other stuff he did. That right there is a game changer, because why? It changes the economic lens, and more black people will be independent than still trapped in this slave mentality.
Targeting. They would get out the targeting category and get into the ownership category. So when Byron Allen first launched this legal rampage back in 2015, few would guess that he would, because I'm reading now from an article, that he would get to the Supreme Court with this case that could transform the discrimination lawsuits and handle the representation of color on the 19th century reconstructing efforts after the Civil War. But this is what's really interesting. When Allen first started that lawsuit, the NAACP and Al Sharpton were the original co-defendants, in the case for allegedly taking actions to whitewash Comcast. Now, hold on. You mean years later this person gets to be on NBC as a targeter?
And as well as Al Sharpton has falling ratings and he's still around.
Okay. So you talked about that. But check this part you got to listen for. Byron Allen says that Comcast was spending $25 billion annually on channel licensing, but less than $3 million on his character. The $3 billion they spent on his brother. Characterization of 100% African American media owned
content.
Yeah, media owned. It's 100% media owned. So it makes you feel like, this is really interesting.
So they had billions of dollars and they gave a few million. And what's that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What's
they
that?
had $25 billion.
Yes, what's that? $25 billion. And they got a couple million.
Less than $3 million.
Come on now. How's that ever going to change anything?
On the characterization of African American owned media.
That's why we're going to continue to get Harriet Tubmans, because we can't be as raw with it, because we're just trying to get a movie out to hopefully have that movie inspire somebody and kind of color it up a little bit and kind of maybe twist it a little bit, because we have to, because we're connected too much with folks like Comcast.
Yeah, Comcast is also working with NBC Universal, in which Al Sharpton show come on. This Negro, no disrespect, so I know he's an elder, but he do show up in some of the damnedest places.
He was out here in Sacramento and people embraced him.
No, I mean show up in certain, things. Like, for instance, we talked
the
about
Negro's a snitch.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that.
The Negro's a snitch.
Okay.
We talk about Tekashi 6ix9ine. The Negro's is feds. But here's the thing about it. Negroes want to keep talking about out in leadership. Out the Negroes that should have been out a long time ago. Negroes don't want to say nothing about that. I mean, come on, let's be honest. The bottom line with the whole Allen thing, it exposes the truth that a lot of us have been saying for years. I know me and you for sure have been saying it. Stop praising and worshiping Jesus Obama. Understand, Jesus Obama was, in all purposes, symbolic. His level of presidency was symbolic. A black man, a man of color in 2000.
Symbolism never fed black people.
No, but I'm just saying, it never fed us, but it's kept us alive. Symbolism has always kept us alive. Well, I mean, we look at Michael Jordan. Oh my God. But at the end of the day, was Michael Jordan doing anything for the black community? Right. But he was Michael Jordan. So in that idea of symbolism, as I mean, look at the white Jesus. I mean, niggas have opened up churches for the simple fact of white Jesus. I still ain't heard Kanye West tell me on the Jesus King if Jesus is black or white. I need to know, Kanye. Which one is he? Is he black or white? These are important facts I need to know. So symbolism has kept...
Jesus doesn't have color, Barry.
Oh, yeah, I know. But every time I see Jesus...
He didn't even come out of a man's sperm.
Exactly.
He came out of a holy conception. If your daughter come home pregnant out of a holy conception, what would you believe her, Barry?
Oh,
is your daughter
the Negro was found in a goddamn manger from a virgin.
In the damn middle of winter in December. The the shit we believe. That's why we fucked up, Barry. We believe this kind of shit.
And this is the whole type shit. So when a nigga say that shit don't make sense, nah, brother, believe. What the fuck am I believing in? I mean, you can't make this shit up. And this is not knocking people for their religious beliefs, but you guys have to understand.
Shit.
I don't believe in a boogeyman, and I don't believe in a tooth fairy, and I don't believe there's a such thing as Santa Claus. And if they would all be black.
A white man comes down your goddamn shit, and you better have your gun.
I'm gonna shoot that motherfucker. So it's real talk. No doubt, beloved, we are teaching.
Oh, shit.
Because here's the truth, y'all.
God.
Symbolism has been the clutch and has been the ventilator for black stupidity, black ignorance, and the lack thereof our unity. If you guys want to believe that Mr. Allen is lying about what his ass for, because why would Mr. Allen lie about Obama? And that's the nigga that Obama would want to be around to sit there to open up the books. And why would he lie about Sharpton when we know Sharpton's character is that?
How do you be a snitch and still walking around?
Because that's
what
what
the entire mafia, they will get your ass.
Because that's what, Queen, because that's what we're designed to believe.
Okay.
So these are the things that have resuscitated and kept us moving and glued. And that's why it's so easy. And that's why niggas don't want Barry Accius in the room. They like you a little bit more in the room because you're a little bit more culture eccentric, and you know what I mean. I'm just being honest. You're a little sweeter than me. You're a pit bull, no doubt. Pit bull for real.
I come in like
not really. Because I done seen you shoot some niggas. I done seen you Harry Tubman niggas. Real talk. But they they're at least gonna think Mama Rose gonna at least listen. I come with the gates with the guns blazing like niggas. Lay it all down. Because at the end of the day, literally what we're stuck and we've been blinded on is the symbolism that has been portrayed and been put to us. Dear President Jesus Obama, why the fuck did you not investigate these goddamn fucking banks and open up an audit? It was going to be simple. Who would have been mad? I wouldn't have been mad.
The people who put him there would have been mad.
Come on, man.
They didn't elect Obama because they wanted us to get free. Come on now.
And the LGBTQ,
FGHQI,
TGIF,
P give it a P on there.
They go in there, lock loaded, game tight, focus on what they need to do. Agenda. I mean, that's why I say I love the LGBTQ, and in so many ways, I don't knock them at all. Because guess what? They got the people on the ground, the folks that will be the agitators like us, then the folks that will be doing the marching and the protesting.
Then they got black women who just support their sons.
Then they got the people in government to be the influencers and
I think it's easier for them because they white, Barry.
Well, yeah,
because white men made the LGBTQ,
and they got the lobbyists, and then on top of that. They got the power instructed, like with Hollywood money, sports money. So they got it all ranged around. They got the money, they got the access, they got the resources, and they got the people. And they all focus on an agenda. We want to have same-right marriages as everybody else. And guess what ends up happening? Okay, Obama, we got you. What do Negroes do? We are still now finding out, as great as Obama was he really great? And I've always said that. I'm very critical.
Don't ask me.
And he
did do stuff for us, Barry. He helped everybody else, which means he helped us too. That's the silly shit Negroes say.
And that's just becomes the silly Negro shit that we get caught into. And this is not about Obama, but it's just like, God damn it, people, when are we gonna stop keeping on drinking the well? And if we're gonna be at the well with the people drinking, can we at least question them? Because in any room I'm in, I don't give a damn. That's why I said they don't let me in the room, because I question it. I ask it. Like we had a meeting with a whole bunch of people. What did I do, Queen? While niggas was all sitting down there, stooped and duped, and knowing we have issues.
He spoke up.
I spoke and said, truth to power.
Everybody sat there like we was at a meeting on a plantation and the slave owner called us in to tell us we're going to have to work on Sunday. Sorry.
And I just said simple shit. But it's like, Negroes, you know what I've learned? Negroes get so upset when you speak your truth. And it's like, I'm not trying to embarrass you. I'm just asking a question. I would ask the question, well, Obama, why didn't you audit the banks? You know that they've done discriminatory practices against black people. I mean, come on, look at the home ownership in black America. This shit is so lopsided. Niggas can barely even open up little bodegas in the hood nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't do shit because we got to go funnel into a bank and the bank says no. And then other immigrant come off the goddamn boat. That motherfucker open up shop. Tell me what's the problem.
And that's, I'm going to say this, Barry, no disrespect to the African community, but that's what they don't know. Like, there's a reason why we struggle, but they don't come here and struggle. So I got a problem when those group of people attempt to tell us why ain't we doing shit. It's like, nigga, you get to be over here because of the fucking work our ancestors did. So you don't get the access while we ain't moving when we've been faced with systematic racism since we came to this thing.
Black president and no conversation, no talk about reparations?
Well.
Black president, no talk about we got to open up the books. It's a new day and time. Let's talk about these reparations before these banks get let off. Get there. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. Dear banks, dear automotive industry, we have a problem. Because that's me being Obama, elected. Already talking to black people who have already sat there in these private and secret meetings saying, well, this is what we have to do. Because I do believe black people did have some kind of agenda. Some of us did. And say, hey. Because Alan is saying that. Yeah. He's saying he ain't mad at him because Alan ain't mad at him because Alan's still good with his money. He's still making his moves.
He still found some white people to invest in his ass. Let's just keep it simple.
He figured it out. You know, and on top of that, unfortunately, he has a blonde hair, blue-eyed woman. But we ain't going to talk about that. I mean, go put that picture.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Now we talk about that later. But here's the go. So at the end of the day, me being presidential-elect Jesus Obama,
right?
I would have said to the banks, and I would have said to the housing market, and I would have said to the automobile market, like, you need me to bail y'all Negroes out, huh? Yeah, we kind of fucked. I said, all right, just what we gonna do. We got this big problem called reparations. So, I'm not gonna be able to probably push this through Congress. They're not progressive enough. There's gonna be a lot of real hoopla, how much and who should get it, blah, blah, blah. But what I need and what I want in writing is to be able, because I know y'all done screwed up a lot of black people in this course and even before.
Right on. Black
people would be able, if not to get some of the best loans, right, and best interest rates, and actually folks would have to build black communities up. Banks would have to give start-up loans with no interest, no nothing. Like, nigga, first interest, here's $10,000, fucking, I don't know what they would call it, but stimulus package for your business where you don't have to pay interest or pay it back. Before I go ahead and bail y'all out, y'all need to do this for at least 1 year, 2. I don't know how you do it, but you got these motherfuckers by the neck that need you, and let them sign that bill. Black people would have walked out. We would be winning right now in 2019. I'm not talking about 1. I'm not talking about 2. I'm not talking about 3. It'd be a collective of us winning, and that becomes a problem. There is not a collective of us black people winning. There are Negroes winning, but there's not a collective. And those black people who win don't usually come back and get the other black people to help them win. So that becomes a problem. That's what I would have done as a presidential Jesus Obama. Because what Alan has said has really opened up my eyes to so much of the institutional racism, as systematic as we already knew it was. But the institutional racism and as many gatekeepers have just stood there and just acted as if it's not their duty to do something historic, do something courageous, not just become a symbolic figure or do stuff that's kind of, all right, well, I'm going to do this for all of us, but black people going to be helped out a little bit more. I don't need you to do that. I need you to do something heroic. And what's heroic right now is this brother taking a stand, regardless of his love interest, but the game of what he's playing. It's going to help us get out of an economic genocide that we've continually been played on in such a way where black people are just now finding out we got to wake up from.
Barry, everything you said, ditto, and more ditto. But I just hope black folks get it.
They don't do that?
Because when something comes to work, that's when we kind of turn into like real niggas. Like, I mean, in terms of like not being able to do something. You know what I'm saying? I will say this, Barry. I do know that back in the days, there was a time in this country where if a person we had a lot of respect for say don't do something, we're not gonna all ride this bus today, we would do it. And anybody who thought they was gonna ride it would probably get their ass whooped. Or be convinced that that's not a good idea and they probably would take another route or something. I feel like, you know, all we said had all the ring of truth on it, but I just gotta be honest, Barry. I just know that that would be a great plan if we all felt that way and if we all believed that way. You understand what I'm saying? And I feel like we have a lot of clones who are not gonna give up this man or his white supremacy. Some of us are married to white supremacy.
Wow.
We love white supremacy.
Wow.
It's like somebody being addicted to crack and they like, I ain't giving that shit up because it just make me feel too goddamn good. So they're going to die with it. And I think we're fastly approaching those times. I think we're fastly getting to the part where it's the rubber hitting the road. And if you ain't down with it, you're going to get rolled over. What's that damn movie? You either get down or lay down. You remember that shit?
I remember that. Get down, lay down. I remember that's the term.
If you don't get down, you gonna lay down.
But November 13th, and I know what I want to do. You know, we talked about it. We'll get some of our folks in, you know, the media, black media, to come in to speak the volumes of what it is, because we watch their plight, we watch their struggle. I mean, come on, think about it. We don't even have our own black news station. We don't even have that. And the person that I heard that's going to put up the money for that, one of the people, is a Middle Eastern.
Who also owe us money.
They don't even want to.
No. I think that it's like black folks don't have no fucking friends. They owe us money. They treat Africans like shit right now in the Middle East.
They look at us so crazy, and I can't knock it
shit,
because I love eating their food. You know what I'm talking about? I love eating their food, but there has to become a point and degree to where we become more serious about what this actually looks like. And in a way of, I'm not going to go out there and tell a bunch of folks to go boycott Comcast. And the reason why I'm not going to do that, because tactically to me, that is not a great strategy, because then, though there are alternatives, right? But let's just say AT&T does not come as far as internet provider, right? Because I don't have cable. Internet provider. I can't get no internet provider except for Comcast. So I'm supposed to boycott and take down Comcast and not have no internet in my house? You know what I'm talking about? These are kind of different things, because I'm just putting that out, out there like that. So because I think sometimes even a voice box of who's asking for the boycotts, what are you sacrificing? What are you boycotting?
I get that. What do you sacrifice?
You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to say that now, because again, we're emotionally reacting. It's almost about 6 days to when this brother goes down. You know, and now here comes this emotional, let's all boycott Comcast and all that.
But the key is, how do we harness that to real power?
That's what I'm saying.
So I get that. But let me just say this. This is where I turn into a Cuban. And I'm trying to be funny. And when you ask that kind of question, like, well, what do we do? The Cubans say, you know, you could always tell how strong the men were in Cuba by the notches on their belt when Russia took their support away, and they were really going through what's called the special period in Cuba. And what I learned from being in Cuba is that if you're not willing to sacrifice, then you ain't worth shit. And I'm saying to you, if you can't fucking turn your TV off and sacrifice some shit, then don't complain about shit. If you ain't willing to take the deep dives, and we're asking you to do basic shit. Right, you asking to do shit like support a black business. That should be fucking breathing. You know what I mean? That should be nothing. You know what I'm saying, though, Barry? That should be nothing. Then how can we ever compete with any group in here if we don't see ourselves first, if we don't believe in ourselves first, and we don't put ourselves first? I remember in Oakland when they did not have a Chinatown. They would take the BART all the way to Frisco to shop with their own damn people until they got downtown Oakland. Yeah. And you mean to tell me we're not capable of doing that? I think black people are those kind of people where you just have to understand their wave, because the white people do. This shit will die down. They'll forget about like they did the Clark thing, like they did Sandra Bland. Them niggas will forget about it. Well, we'll throw them a new album. Go on out there and give them Jesus is real.
I'm gonna give you an example.
Oh shit.
I'm gonna give you an example. The Tatiana girl got killed in Dallas. The white police officer got resigned. The white police officer is now a civilian. He ain't a white police officer. Why his head ain't on this the swivel? I mean, I saw the preachers talking about protected. Well, now he's a civilian. Why is his neck not somewhere lynched? And I'm not advocating violence, but I'm just being honest. We ain't even talking about that case no more. So we want to talk about how quickly we forget. He is now a civilian. We ain't even talking that big rah-rah about protect. He is a civilian hanging out somewhere. I'm sure the farthest he probably went is San Antonio. But he's somewhere free, somewhere hanging out, probably doing something where he might be a security guard or doing something online, but he's a civilian, and you're not going to get the kind of penalties you would get if you get caught doing something to him because he's not no longer a police officer. He does not, even though he probably has police friends, he's not protected by that.
And he got to shop and buy food.
But he's still moving.
That's what I'm saying.
So Negroes can't sit there and tell me how about it they are when here's these things that continue to go. We are too in love with reacting and not in love with the actual process of what is the long-term plan.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying we have to figure out how do we use that energy. See, sometimes black folks, some of us are very predictable.
Very much so.
So white people know that. They know our steps like a mother knows her child. At least she thinks she knows a child. However, how do then those of us who are thinkers, I'm going to put some mathematics out there. 5% of the people, poor, righteous teacher. 10% is the bloodsuckers of the poor, but the 85% of the dumb, deaf, and blind. So my thing, knowing that, what do the 10% know that the 5% say they know, but the 10% is leading the 85%? That's a math equation, y'all.
It's heavy.
So those of us being the 5%ers, we gotta tighten up our goddamn game.
Yeah.
You know, if a Negro's all he can do is be reactionary, I gotta be able to bank on him being reactionary to the right shit.
Yeah.
You know, how do we drop those seeds? That's why music, what we put in ourselves, whether it's food, music, energy, vibrations, light beams, all of that shit runs black people. Yeah. That's why when you go to church and they start putting that damn music on, immediately your body starts reaction, even if your brain ain't there yet. For real, you walk in the club.
And you have to get that money.
So that's a science.
Man.
That's a science. So how do we then, that's why I think they set out to destroy hip-hop.
Man.
When we were talking about that rah-rah with the black medallion, they was like, oh, hell no.
You shitting me?
We gotta put some bullshit up in here, and then shit hop came along, and that's the end of that.
And that's the end of that.
You can't get Negroes to pull their goddamn pants up. I'm just saying, and women not to, we done took the word bitch and act like, yeah, I'm a bad bitch. Really, the bad bitch don't be queen though. Man. Can't be a bad bitch and be queen. I don't give a fuck how you want to respin it. You gonna stop the spinning cycle? You gonna be in the same goddamn place. You
can't be king and God and be a nigga.
Right at the same goddamn time. I know we think we can, but come on. Because a real God provides. A real God maintains. A real God is a builder.
Yes, sir.
And I know we're not really talking about that, in our communities. I mean, it's nice to read shit.
I think we do.
How about doing some shit?
I think
not
we
all
do
of
talk.
us,
I think we no. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think we do talk about it, but we talk about it without any actual action being involved in the talk. And we only like to talk about it when it's everything that's supporting bullshit that we want to talk about, and it's people that we like talking about it, right?
That part.
Because that part where Negroes have this found reality, I call myself the most disliked popular guy. Why? It's not because I'm being funny, but I am being funny. It's because I'm disliked, but I'm very popular in the things that I say and the things that I do, but I'm disliked because folks don't just like me as a person for whatever reason, because they don't like the imagery or how I conduct myself and my swagger and things of that nature, but it's flaws that other people have. Because it's not necessarily something that they can see in me, because most of these people, I don't even know them like that.
Maybe they won't be you, fam.
A lot of motherfuckers won't be me, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe they they talk about, so they walk out.
Exactly. I'm just saying, I got a lot of sons and daughters out there. But I'm just being honest. And that's just where if I see you, Queen, I'm going to be intimidated. If I'm not true and right with myself, I'm gonna be intimidated. You talking all this black power shit, but then you're moving in a room with vultures, and you're like, the way you're moving and gliding, like, damn, you're not switching up and putting a whole a suit and tie or skirt to make them feel comfortable. You're coming with your own African sense. If I didn't know how to do that, I would be intimidated by that.
I love a hero, Barry. Let me just be honest. I know I'm strong and all that bullshit. I get it. Because sometimes we strong because we have to be.
Yeah.
Not because that's how I wrote the script. Mm-hmm. But I would say this, Barry. I think a lot of us love a hero, but we don't know what a hero really look like. I'm not talking about you lay down on the goddamn floor and he come and swoop you up and throw you on a white horse. Mm-hmm. That's not what the fuck I'm talking about. A hero comes when we was in that meeting and you got up and was like, oh, hold on, player.
No doubt.
That's what a hero look like. Not sitting there being politically correct, scared out your goddamn boots.
Why?
I don't care what nobody say. There's no account of this, but I think Harriet laid some motherfuckers out. Because if they was any more niggerish than we are right now, I know she laid some.
Wait, hold on a second. So she didn't shoot nobody?
They said that's what she claimed. She never lost a passenger. She said never lost a passenger. Now that don't necessarily mean she didn't liberate some motherfuckers along the way. Cause we're kicking and pulling people right now.
And
we're kicking and pulling people right now.
And it should be a lot easier. And I hope from Buffalo Wild Wings to Harriet Tubman to the Allen case and to all of the fuckery that's going on currently right now. We ain't even talked about the whole Donald Trump impeachment because that's even more deeper than anything to watch the corruption.
Could this be a distraction?
Exactly.
As they slide this shit under the rug?
As they slide a lot of shit under the rug, right? I feel that black people really need to start coming into a place that if we can't do the basic essential things, that if you have a disagreement with someone, can holler at them, you know what I mean? We're talking about the basic essential things. We're talking about respect. We're talking about respect for our elders, respect for our children, you know what I'm saying? Respect for our own selves. And when you talk about supporting a black business should be breathing, you get on me all the time, Barry. Well, we're going to talk about support black businesses. We're going to talk black on black crime. And it becomes a nuisance that we even have to say support black businesses. It becomes a nuisance that we have to say support a black podcast. You know, I feel every single person, the content that we're speaking is real truth and facts. Now, nothing that we said from the people that have chimed in. We ain't telling no lie. The whole conversation, I'm just being honest. So it's an honest perspective from your view and my view.
Right on.
But the reality of it all, we're really hitting some diamonds because the shit that we saying when you niggas dissect it, are we really lying? You know? Are we really just exaggerating? And we buy in to people like Al Sharpton because, one, we're familiar with these people because they run around, and two, because they have this good spiritual talk, this good enlightening talk, and this good uplifting talk. And in reality, when I go to his foundation, his headquarters in Harlem, I was literally disgusted to say this can't be the base of where this brother lays.
Action Network, right on.
This can't be the Action Network. There's no way. And the simple fact that we just get along to get along just to keep ourselves well, we don't want to sit there and piss off nobody because we don't want to not be in the room. I'm tired of that notion, and that's why it's always been this fight between older and younger, because this older generation has not only, one, told the truth, but two, and this is not all y'all, two, passed the buck, gave it back.
Well, nobody passed it to them. So, and I'm not making excuses, but I think sometimes we do. It's kind of like the story, and I always tell us to people, when you watch your mom cook and she take the roast and she cut the end off and put it in a big ass pan, and the young baby says, "Isn't that a part of the roast?" She said, "I don't know. That's how my mama did it." So she go ask her grandma. She said, "That's how my mama did it." She'll go ask her great grandmother. She said, "When I did it, my pan was too small." So we'll still be doing shit that somebody taught us and never thought to say, you know what? They did what they had to do in that time. This is not that time like that. We have more options now.
My auntie showed me how to do oxtails, and I do it a whole different way. Why? Because the way she did it, I felt like, that takes too much time. I could do it this way, because if I want to produce as many oxtails, and you know, I'm just saying, and that's an example.
No, that's
that's a simple thing.
But you know, most of us just follow suit. Because we want to be, I'm going to be honest, we want to be gatekeepers. Because, you know, gatekeepers usually have this out.
Yeah.
You know, we want to hand-pick people to keep the status quo, so we keep the other Negroes out.
Yeah.
We do that as black people. That's why I say black folks don't have leaders.
No.
That shit is an illusionary. It's like an illusion. It's like Casper the Ghost. You never can really see it.
And the simple fact that we want to hold leadership into such a way that says leader, leader, leader. It's just like, why can't we all be leaders? You know what I'm talking about? Why aren't we all leaders?
Talking
you know
that
what I'm
real
talking about?
stuff.
Because I want everyone to be a leader. Like, don't just choose me, and then when everything goes wrong, you point at me.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, you're the leader. Well, you're not a leader. And that's the whole thing. So if we are going up, it's the way it's always been done. It's a new day. You're right, Queen. It's a new day and it's a new way. And we appreciate that, Deborah. You know, what we have to understand, again, we have to start supporting our own true networks. Earth Mama Healing is the new core of building blocks for our networking, raw and uncut. Give it how you want it. Get it. No worrying about how we sound, how we look, all that bourgeois. Want to keep it simple practices because we're so used to certain things. It's raw and uncut. Black brilliance in effect, unapologetically, with our black ass excellence all over the place. And this is something that we got to keep on supporting. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mind being a steward and being a limb of something that I believe in. But that's something that I have to say I'm supporting, not saying, well, I'm going to have King a Brother Healing Network. No, I'm just being honest though. I'm finna have King Brother. You know what I mean? Let me just jump on Earth Mama Healing.
Red pill, the blue pill.
I'm just saying, let me jump on Earth Mama Healing.
Shit.
Let me be one of the stewards. Let me be one of the originals. Let's build in to what we have. And let's create our own network and our own channel. Because I put the faith in my sister Queen that if someone comes and says, I got something I want y'all to do, you're going to sit there and say,
gotta take Barry.
I got to take my brother.
Right on.
And when they say, you can't take that Barry guy, it started, and the reason why I'm here is because of brothers like him. And that's the kind of shit that we got to say. Because that's what Negroes end up doing. It's like, can't take him? Oh, okay. And then that's how they get power. That's how many of our hip-hop groups started dissolving. Because motherfuckers like, Buster, you're the star. The rest of them niggas is trash. And now we don't see leaders in the youth school. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's what happened in their case. I get that. But I'm just.
But I can see that.
You know? And I mean, so we have to be able to, honestly, when we talk about control, let's control. Let's not continually be targeted. And that, I think, is essential to our, come up November 13th. We're going to have another show that's going to fall deeper into it because I want to get a perspective. I'm going to call our people right now, Plachette. If you hear us, Plachette, we're looking for you, Regina Wilson. These are black women that are really focused and have been dealing with the black media. And unfortunately, they are individuals. Plachette has been doing some great work with Hub Magazine. Just had a great event that she's been doing annually. And I see how hard this queen is working. And it's unfortunately that she has to work that hard. She should be at ebony status right now.
Yeah, but when you're doing something for your people, though, that's. See, my thing is, I agree with you, Barry, but I feel like that's why you gotta know how to work hard.
Yeah.
A woman told me once, who's very successful, says that I never asked somebody to do something I wouldn't do, and I still not above going to clean the toilet. And I never forgot that. Because it's kind of like sometimes we have a perception of what success look like, but some of us don't have a fucking clue of what it takes to get there. And how hard somebody is working in the background. That you don't get to see that. You just get to see them come out and be fabulous. You don't know what this person look like without their wig on.
Man.
No, seriously. You never know what this brother look like, without his cap on.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
It's a bad hair day.
No, but you just never know. And I think sometimes we got to get out this goddamn fantasy and get your ass out here in the street and get busy. And
I wanted to shout out the Queen's sister that was telling about the good balance that, we have. And this is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a balance of, feminism and masculinity in the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Right
the feminine or style,
And I ain't supposed to
masculine
make
style.
you feel some way. Like, as a black man, you're being toxic right now, Barry.
Nah,
when I know that we throw out toxic shit all day long.
And at the end of the day, toxic masculinity is a European ideology that they put on us. And I understand when my sisters utilize it and use it, and I get it.
Well, that's because we mad at you right now, Barry, the black man.
Yeah,
instead of us saying, brother, let's sit down, we're just going to join the other team and destroy ourselves when we destroy you.
But at the end of the day, when you have brothers, and exactly, we have brothers that are really stepping to the plate. You know what I'm saying? And if really doing that, they don't see that part.
They don't see that part because they think that they're like white women. Yeah. Like when white men do their white women some way, that shit ain't never been our excuse because they done lynched you half the damn time, and I'm out here going for broke by my damn self. Yeah. So it don't work like that. But I've watched us really believe that somehow we are right up there with white women, and we are not. You know what I mean? That shit is crazy. It's obviously that we are not.
Yes.
You know? Y'all, family, look, thank you. This is a great show today.
Yeah, so we're going to definitely go. We'll make sure that we at least get one of them in here. I'm not going to go see Harriet Tubman until, you just threw me all the way off from going to see it.
Just see that, and you'll be like, what the?
Yeah, exactly. I might sneak
You better call me and tell me.
I'm going to definitely sneak into that joint. You know what I'm saying? And I guess, I think I know we're going to end off, but I guess that I think a lot of folks will also say, well, why are we so critical of black movies? But
it's not a black movie. Let me be clear.
Okay.
It is not a black movie. Okay. They hired an American woman who happens to be black. Now I'm going to start using y'all terminology. Okay. Who directed a film about a fictional character. It should be called a tribute to Harriet Tubman. What we think she should have been like. Or some shit like that.
Or not even call it Harriet Tubman. Yeah. Just
call it shit like...
Call Yolanda Hood frees the blacks, right? I mean, you're saying you don't even call it that, right?
No, but I'm just saying, I felt like that's what it made. So I'm saying, no, this is not a black film. We gotta have names for people when they don't do us right. See, take away that black card, because white people hate when you take that white card away. They can be white with no teeth and living in a trailer, but goddamn it, they're white.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that Alan shared to me is just like how he, again, going back to the preference of, there is not any white person that could come up and we say speaks for all white people, but there's always a black person, whether it's woman or man, that speaks for all the black people. And that time that resonated on that. So I'm gonna wait to go see the movie. In a way, I'll probably sneak in to see it, and that's not a knock because people will probably say, well, you're supporting all these other white movies, blinded out white.
Yeah, but they're good. Shit, they're good. Hell. I'm gonna go see that black romantic comedy. You better carry your ass to see that. Since you talk about, you better go see Lisa Ray's new one and the brother from Atlanta, ATL. He's in there. He's the love interest. I can't remember his name. He's
the brother from
Talk to Me or Talk White or whatever show.
Isn't it the brother?
He played in Get Out. He was the one that kidnapped it the first time.
Yeah.
They kidnapped.
Exactly.
So that looked like a great movie. I'm definitely gonna see that. You block that out, Flo. I'm definitely buying tickets for that.
And go see
that. Look like they can't go wrong.
And go see Deion Taylor's Black and Blue.
We still gotta go see that and support that.
Go see that.
I didn't hear nobody complaining about that because you know that shit probably was. Well, I don't know what you thought about that, Barry.
It was. I mean, I think that it was romantic as well because again, there was that one white guy, and I said this last show, it was that one white guy that did the right thing. So in a sense of it being critical on a Cisco and Ebo shit, these white folks don't do the right thing. That shit, he shoots the motherfucking bad but white cop instead of the black woman shooting a bad white cop. So, in a sense of it all, we could all make the excuses, but at the end of the day, what we want to leave our black people with is champion your own future and continue to build black in an unapologetic manner and in an understanding that this is not for you, this is for all people behind you. Peace and love. See you next Tuesday at 9 a.m. for the East Coast. I believe that's 12, right? 12 p.m. And like I said, continue to support. Show some love. Our Facebook page will be going up in probably the next few days. So make sure you guys comment. And as like I said, continue to support a growing network, Earth Mama Healing, as well as a growing show, Just Being Honest, connecting with the black experience.
Right now, and we're working on switching over to YouTube so we don't have this problem with Facebook because a lot of people are doing that.
That's
a whole other story.
Yeah, because this whole Facebook thing is crazy. People are saying that we can't find the show, blah, blah, blah.
So, all right, family, peace.
Peace.